how healthy it is and what we can improve. So if you look at page 1 in your packet, the first thing is the ways that we eat. So 3 ways that we could try to eat better are, 1, try to spread your calories and your food out across the day. Not for everyone is 3 meals going to work, but some people like smaller, more frequent meals. But the important thing is that if you are consistent, that can keep you from getting too hungry and then going overboard. And remember to keep track. I think that if you have regular, consistent meals, that makes it easier to do the logging. So some participants have found that it's helpful if they eat around the same time every day. That's habit forming. The next thing they tell us is to eat slowly, so we digest food better if we take small bites, chew completely, put your utensil down. Sometimes there's a delay between eating and getting the feelings of fullness. So we should try to give ourselves a little time, slow down, and enjoy your food, enjoy your company. And finally, don't worry about cleaning your plate. We don't want to waste food, but we don't want you to eat more than you want or need just because it's there. Sometimes load up the plate and then you just automatically eat it all. Stop and give yourself a chance to know if you're getting full. Are you thirsty? Sometimes we need to drink some water and then start feeling a little better. Don't need all the extra food. So try to serve smaller portions to begin with. Or you can try packing up leftovers for later. So those are some ways that we eat well, and the other part we're going to talk about is what we eat. So we want to emphasize healthy food choices because this isn't just about losing weight, it's about improving our health. And one way to describe a healthy meal is in terms of food groups. So we place foods in groups according to the type and amount of nutrients that they have in common. And those are vegetables, what else? And there are 5.
Protein, meat,
And the 5th one,
Dairy.
yeah. So if you look at page 3, we're going to skip page 2 for now, we'll come back to it. They have examples of servings of each of the categories. In the middle, you have your healthier options, and over on the right side, you have the things you want to avoid too much of because they're higher calorie, higher fat, higher sugar, all the things we want to limit. So notice that a serving of vegetables is half a cup of cooked vegetables, or if you have something like raw leafy greens in your salad, that's a whole cup is the serving. The starchy vegetables like corn, peas, and potatoes, I always hear people really like those vegetables, but you want to try to get a good variety, all the colors, and there's going to be different nutrients in different vegetables. So if we eat a wide range of them, we're getting more nutrients. And then what do we do for vegetables in terms of flavoring them? If you look on the right side there, you see the butter, the frying, the cheese. What are some alternate ways that we could flavor vegetables?
just steam them.
Steam, yeah. You could roast with a little olive oil. Doesn't take much. You can eat them raw. Herbs and spices is a great tip. And we actually have a handout about that. And in a little while, we'll try a few herbs and spices. So, we want to eat things that taste good. Everybody wants that. But when we add all the fat and sodium, it's hard on your health. So we're trying to be adventurous and creative with how we get that flavor there.
What about yogurt?
What's that?
Yogurt?
Yogurt. Like I use plain yogurt instead of sour cream. I use plain yogurt with lemon and dill for a veggie dip. Okay, now I'm just going to grab one of those.
So what are some of your favorite fruits and vegetables that you guys like to eat?
Apple,
Broccoli?
grapes.
Well, you're going into fruits. What about the veggies?
Tomato.
Tomatoes.
Greens.
Peas.
Yeah?
Broccoli, all of
Great. Yeah.
that. Beans.
Beans are great. Good protein, good fiber. So if you see on the front, you have a little information about what they are. We have fat, sugar, and salt reduction tips. And on the back, there are a lot of really good suggestions for how to use them. So when you're planning your meals, think about trying those things. Make your meal more exciting that way. Anything look good?
Cardamom.
Cardamom is
I
awesome.
had that for the first time this week.
Yeah, did you like it?
Indian candy.
Yeah.
Good.
It's in Indian food a lot. I like to put it in my black tea. Okay, so we're going to move down to the fruits. So for fruits, we want to get around 4 servings, and veggies, we want about 5 servings. A little heavier on the veggies, but fruits are really good for us. So a small piece is a serving. If you go to the store and you see those really big juicy apples, they're like 4 inches across, you might be eating 2 servings of fruit, so just remember that in your tracking and try to get a good balance.
Well, say, I noticed now, most of your stores, they'll have what they call a side for kid lunchbox.
Yeah, lunchbox size. It's a serving.
Maple
So,
oranges. Maple oranges and more sugar.
yeah, and fiber, but you're right, they have that sugar, they're big. I often, because I watch my sugar, so when I wake up and I want fruit for breakfast, I cut it in half and I save half for later the next day. If you have canned fruit, look on the label for packed in juice. We want to stay away from the syrup because it adds sugar that we don't really need, getting plenty of it in the fruit already. Some other choices in fruits that are high sugar are going to be dried fruit, it's just concentrated in there. Juice, if you want to have juice, a serving is 4 ounces, it's half a cup. Maybe you have your serving and then you have some water with it afterwards. Even better is having a piece of fruit because you get the fiber with it. And remember, mostly water. It's what we want to drink. So the next category there, the grains on your page 3. We want to stress whole grains, and we want to try to avoid those things on the right, the packaged baked goods that have a lot of fat and sugar added to them. And when you're choosing your cereal, you see a lot of sweetened, tasty cereals. Try to get the lower added sugar, more fiber in your cereal.
lot of times they put the healthier items on the outside of the grocery store, so that would be good to keep in mind, especially for like the grains. Like normally the fresh like whole wheat breads are on the outside, and so if you can avoid like the middle of the grocery store a little bit, it's helpful for food selection.
You might also notice that the really sweet cereals are down here at the children's eye level. So for proteins, we wanna-
On your range serving on that,
Mhm.
what
Oh, well,
you know, you said 5 on there.
oh, so that depends on your personal calorie breakdown. And that's something you want to put a note on and ask your health coach or ask at the end. You can see a slice of bread is a serving, and so yeah, try to choose the whole grains. For protein, we want to try to get leaner protein. There are some strategies we'll talk about for cutting the fat. And fish, try some fish. Beans and lentils are great sources of protein, and they also have fiber. And you'll see on the right that ones we want to avoid have a lot of fat and sodium, like bacon, hot dogs, sausage.
Three slices.
Yeah, protein surprises people. You know, you think about a deck of cards for a steak. It's a lot smaller than most of us, you know, have in a sitting for steak, but that's an appropriate serving. Dairy, we want to try to reduce the fat. If you're drinking whole milk, try to take the next step, go to 2%. You want to get smaller than that. Sometimes you can mix them. You know, we start saying, it's watery, I don't like it. Try mixing it, see if it's a little better. And we want to try cheeses that are lower in fat. And yogurt, really have to be careful because a lot of the choices they've added so much sugar to.
Yeah.
So plain yogurt, plain low-fat or non-fat yogurt can be really good with fresh fruit. You're adding the sweetness with fresh fruit instead of buying it already
They do
sweetened.
have yogurt, and they do have the most carbs.
Yeah, there's carb watcher yogurt, lower sugar. Okay, so let's go to page 2 and look at the design of My Plate. So My Plate is a tool to visualize what a healthy meal looks like when we're planning and making our meals. It has all the food groups included, so you have balance. It talks about portions, we have moderation, and we also want variety. So you have the biggest section of the plate for vegetables. Fruit is above that, a little bit smaller. And on the other half of the plate, there's a spot for grains, and then a smaller section for protein. Dairy is off to the side. And then if you look at the placemat I gave you, and those are for you to keep, it has it a little bit different. Compare it with the one in your packet. So they put the fruit down on the side. It's listed along with dairy off to the side. And then they have half of their plate with veggies. You don't have to do that. Just remember this is a tool to help plan a balanced meal. Sometimes it will look a little different. For instance, how would you put spaghetti and meatballs on My Plate? Like, in what sections do you put the parts of spaghetti and
The
meatballs?
spaghetti goes in the starchy food.
Uh-huh.
The meatball will go into protein.
And then your sauce, your tomato sauce, and the veggies. So for that, we might want to have fruit on the side. We might want to have some low-fat dairy along with it. And that's just one example of a food that you don't break down just like that, but it still makes sense with the model. So this My Plate idea comes from dietary guidelines. And the key recommendations are that we avoid oversized portions, make half of the plate fruits and vegetables. So when you think about 4 servings of fruit and 5 servings of vegetables in a day, does that sound like a lot? A lot of fruit and vegetables. Well, that's where the fruit comes in.
Oh.
We're being creative
They're gonna make
and calling
fruit.
fruit.
Oh,
So it sounds like a lot of produce, but if we consistently use this model to build a meal, it gets a lot easier to get those fruits and veggies in. We also want to make at least half of the grains whole grains. Switch to fat-free or reduced fat milk. Choose foods with lower sodium, and drink water, which we've told you about 100 times, and you'll hear it a million more times. So what this illustrates is that we should be eating a mostly plant-based diet. Most Americans eat too much saturated fat and too much protein, more than we are recommended to have. A lot of that comes from big servings of meats.
Five servings of veggies, 4 fruit. What about the rest? Protein.
So the rest sort of depends on your personal calorie level. And you'll maybe want to put a note on that and ask your health coach, how do you choose your servings. But mostly we're trying to talk about the balance and what we choose. So whole grains and lower fat protein, lower fat dairy.
Soups are a great way to get vegetables in, because you can put a lot of vegetables in there, and then that can be a whole meal in and of itself. So that's a good way to incorporate a lot of those servings into one meal.
Now, I don't know if other people notice it, but there is, I don't know who it is, can't remember, there is a company that makes your skim milk that tastes like a tube or something.
Really?
Because I used to hate the skim.
Yeah.
It ain't nothing but water.
Called Super Skim.
Super skim. I'll have to look that up. I'd like to try it, actually. So what about fat? Fat is not considered a food group, but it is in various foods. So how do we incorporate that into a healthy diet? Please go to page 6 in your packet. So we already talked about how eating less fat overall can help lose weight. It's got 9 calories per gram. It's also important to use healthier types of oils and limit the unhealthy fats that increase the bad cholesterol and decrease the good cholesterol. So, saturated fat. It increases LDL levels. And you'll see on the list there, it's in the fatty meats, high-fat dairy, butter, lard, some oils like palm oil. Trans fat, this is actually being phased out by 2018 because we know that it is bad for both bad cholesterol and good cholesterol. It gives us more bad cholesterol. It gives us less, it decreases our good cholesterol. So remember the term fat detective? When you are looking at labels, watch out for the term partially hydrogenated oil. What they've done is they've taken a vegetable oil that would otherwise be healthy, and they just pumped a bunch of hydrogen into it. This makes it behave differently. It makes it solid and has a long shelf life. So, they want to use that for things like margarine sometimes, or to put into packaged pastries and that kind of thing. But it acts as trans fat. So here's an example of this. This And in the ingredients, we have popcorn, partially hydrogenated soybean oil, and salt. So that's not natural. And that's why it's important to pay attention. They're not going to do it for you. They're not going to tell you that. Okay. Alrighty, so look at the next page. The healthy fats are the ones that might be able to lower our cholesterol if they are used in place of saturated fats. So we have polyunsaturated fats, you can see the foods that they're in, and monounsaturated fats. So some of the fatty fish like salmon, tuna, mackerel, herring, those are good sources of omega-3 fatty acids, which are especially heart healthy. And that you can also be found in things like walnuts, canola oil. So we're trying to move away from butter and towards the healthier fats like olive oil.
Hey, what about your, since you mentioned walnut nuts? The
Nuts.
oil and nuts like.
Yeah, those are healthy fats, but don't forget that fats are 9 calories per gram. It's really dense, so be careful about the portion size. And when you get those tasty mixed nuts, look at the lower salt or unsalted, because, you know, how good is it for your heart if you're getting really good nuts, but they're soaked in salt? So, caution on the salt.
Hey, but may I ask a question? What about your coconut oil? You hear so many people talking about coconut oil anymore. Is that good, bad, or indifferent?
Well, it does have saturated fat in it, so I would say sparingly, in moderation. Do you think that's a healthy one? I would still say moderation, right?
I still say moderation. Coconut oil has come a circle. Before they used to say it's bad, now they are saying it's good. And so there are different types of coconut oil. In general, it's saturated fat, but they have extra virgin coconut oil. I would not use it for stir frying because any extra virgin for stir frying should be avoided. But you can use it for salads or anything else that is low heat.
What about the spreads and the various things that say olive oil in them? Is that kind of like, are they decent, or is that something that's just a gimmick?
I think those are a good alternative to, say, butter. But remember to look at the little ingredient list, and if it has hydrogenation, you don't want to choose that one.
I notice it's even in the mayonnaise. It's
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll see on the nutrition facts that less saturated and more mono and polyunsaturated. That's what we want. So serving sizes are always going to be important for fats. This is a spray olive oil that I use on salads, and they also have the kind that's not extra virgin, so I can use in cooking. The serving size is pretty funny. It says 1/3 of a second spray. And that's why they can put 0 calories, 0 fat. If you're just holding it, you're going to get some calories. But it's a good way to try a healthier oil, and it doesn't take a lot. You get, you know, a coating without holding it down for a long time.
Do you use that as your salad dressing?
I do. I use that, and then I spray on balsamic vinegar. Okay, so because we are trying to be creative and adventurous with our flavorings, we're going to try popcorn today with some different seasonings. And I want to share with you this to take home. This has some information about popcorn. It has a little recipe for how to do it in the microwave. And so you can look on the box at the store for microwave popcorn. And there are better choices that don't have hydrogenated oils. But you can also just get the raw kernels and do it in your microwave.
I have a hot air popcorn, I love it.
Yeah.
It's old, but it's very, I love it.
Do you put anything on the popcorn afterwards, or you just make?
Well, I mean, I do various different things. Sometimes I'll sprinkle a little bit of grated cheese, sometimes a little bit of just white seasoning.
Oh, really?
But it's just small.
Like a little bit of.
I don't think you can get healthy popcorn out of that.
Yeah.
Few choices in there. You guys can go get yours and then for the next group in. The bowls are just there in the kitchen and we
Yeah.
have our flavorings as well.
Yes. And we have vegetables and fruits back there. You can get that as well.
Why not?
When I smelled it, it